The internet is ubiquitous. It's everywhere, and we're so dependent on it. But that wasn't always the case. Back in the 1990s, the internet was a little bit hard to access, and many people access the internet through local internet service providers. Newsflash, some of those local ISPs still exist today, and they are flourishing. You can learn more in this episode of Techopia Live. Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. Welcome to Techopia Live. This is a regular podcast from OBJ that features executives from next generation technology companies and the established flagship companies, all with the goal of keeping the tech sector informed and connected. As always, we've got a great guest lined up for you today. I'm really looking forward to this discussion. For me, today's show is a little bit of a blast from the past. It's a stroll down memory lane from a technology perspective. Let me explain that a little bit. In my early days of the media, I still remember there was a stampede. There was a rush to get onto the internet. That was way back in the 1990s, the days of Netscape Navigator and dial-up speeds of 28.8 kilobytes per second. That's slow internet. In those days, the internet was not as pervasive as it is today. It was almost like a subculture that you needed to be plugged into to gain access of it. And from a personal perspective, I remember the first time I gained access to the internet, it was through something called the National Capital Freenet, which was a local ISP. Why is that relevant? Because today we also talk to a local ISP, and I have memories of this ISP company dating all the way back to 1996 also. And here's the key thing. If you think that ISPs are a thing of the past, you're wrong. They still exist today, and we're going to learn all about the main local ISP here in Ottawa. Let's welcome our guest now. He is the chairman and CEO of Storm Internet. Please welcome Birket Foster. Hello, Birket.
Hello, Michael. Thanks for inviting us.
I'm very excited to be here with you. And as I said, I have all these wonderful memories of Storm Internet going all the way back to 1996. And if people think local ISPs are gone, they're wrong, right?
They're right. You're absolutely right. In fact, if you think back to the technologies, one of my questions for you was, did you ever belong to a bulletin board?
I did. I can remember bulletin boards and early email and
those are
Navigator.
Really early days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So Birket, listen, we're going to tell everyone all about the modern day definition and vision of Storm. But I want to start with you first so people get to know you as a person. I'm on your LinkedIn, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a LinkedIn profile that kind of has your current position dating back 50 years. So you've been working kind of on your own as an entrepreneur with a team for 50 years. And when it comes to Storm, it's 20 years. But give me a quick sense of what you've been doing for all these decades.
Well, once upon a time, long ago, at Carleton University in 1977, R.L. Campbell was my law prof, and he allowed me to have a mark for incorporating a company because I wanted to do some consulting work, and I found out you couldn't deduct books. Because even though they're tools of the trade, only a company could deduct books, not a person. So I actually went and formed, we'd taken tax law from them as well. So I went and formed MB Foster Associates Limited, and it became a software vendor. And that was an interesting piece. We began selling software all over the place, and with a small side thing for a year or so, where I actually worked for a company called Quasar, where I actually helped develop and deliver the first sales of a product called Quiz, which later became Powerhouse. And that product was sold in Texas, Colorado, Oklahoma, New Mexico, with a plan that I'd put together using economics 350, I think it was, from Carleton University, which was all about marketing. So Carleton influenced a lot of that. So and
awesome.
started the company. Later on, Quasar became Cognos, and so you know him better as that.
Yeah, I do recognize the name Quasar too, but yeah, Quasar, Cognos, now IBM a little bit. And your involvement with Storm, more specifically, Birket, dates back almost exactly 20 years.
1999, actually. So what happened was our software was doing data access and delivery, and we got to build an ODBC driver. That's open database connectivity. It's the Microsoft thing, so Microsoft desktops and servers can connect to the mainframes and mini computers. And our team was the lab for Hewlett Packard. And because of that, I talked with Denzel Doyle to see, he was an advisor to me, to see if there was a way to actually get internet into the countryside, because I was in Chesterville and my team was out there and we really needed internet. And he said, well, why don't you talk to this guy I have an investment in over at Storm? And so I met the Storm president. We went to a hockey game. We'd never met each other. It's a long story. We won't do it all here. But because of that, we did a collaboration. I helped drive public meetings in the area and collided the people who are now part of Eastlink with Storm, and had the first fiber in 1999 into Chesterville, so that we had fiber connectivity to our building, and we were able to continue working with the people from Hewlett Packard in Cupertino and Bangalore. Wow. So that's the reason. It was actually a need to get internet into the countryside.
Okay.
And so that's a story you didn't know.
That's a very practical thing. I love the practicality you're bringing to this. So if that's a little bit of the backstory of Storm, let's fast forward to 2024. Tell us what Storm is today.
Yeah, so it's probably useful to know that because of what Denzel Doyle did, we ended up buying Storm from International Datacasting. So we took it private because it was at International Datacasting. So we brought it into a company in its own right, and then my partner Charles Walther decided he wanted to retire, and that was in 2019. In 2020, in March 2020, we closed the deal for me to own Storm. And so every lawyer and accountant was in the room going, what are you talking about? Are you sure? Well, it turned out that the pandemic was the best possible thing for Storm and helping Storm's growth. We put in or upgraded over 200 points of presence. Those are like things on a map. And now there's a map that actually shows how many people are actually there, and where we can provide service wirelessly. So a lot of people don't realize internet's not just, especially in rural areas, it's not just plugging into a fiber or taking a telephone line. It's actually wireless delivery. So we have thousands of customers that get wireless delivery from Storm, and we actually bring them some things that they can't get any other way in their particular location.
Okay, this is interesting. So let's talk about some of the services. We'll probably focus a little bit more on residential, but of course we can refer to your business clients as well. So if I'm living in Chesterville or Winchester or something like that, and I phone up Storm, you can give me internet access in a few different ways. Maybe explain what the range would be. Yeah,
so right off the bat, Storm has its own wireless internet. We have 250 plus towers across the Ottawa Valley. And in the Storm, and there's a map. So in this map, if you zoom in a little bit on the map, what you can see is we have a lot of areas that we do cover, and they literally go from the Quebec border all the way to Sharbot Lake, which is north of Kingston. So that's perfect right there. And what happens is on the far right-hand side, you can see there's a purple. That purple was put there in December, and it's a 20 up and 100 down internet. So it's new high-speed internet in the countryside. So this is part of the new stuff we're delivering. We've also got some brand new technology that allows us to deliver over a gig into an area using 60 gigahertz, which of course has rain fade. So there's a backup antenna that it automatically kicks in if there was an issue. And so we've done that as well. We've got our first customer on it doing 250. And it's a point to multi-point, which means that one antenna can service several customers. And I think we have to keep it under 2 gigs on that particular antenna. But that means that you can split 2 gigs. You can have 8 customers on it, which means it also pays itself back pretty quickly. So that's part of what we're doing. We've also got new things rolling out. Oh yes, and that can be 4 clicks, maybe 8 clicks. We'll see how it goes, but right now it's around 4 clicks. And what we see a lot of opportunity for us to help provide high-speed internet to businesses in the countryside where they couldn't have it any other way. And there's a new frequency rolling out which is not licensed, and that is 6G. So you heard a lot about 5G. Now you're going to get bored by 6G. As 6G provides some new speeds and some new capabilities, and you'll learn new words like beamforming and MLO and things like that. And it's not only for inside your buildings with the Wi-Fi 7 that's going to roll out as a spec at the end of this year. It's also going to be used outdoors. And so 6G outdoors is going to provide high speeds, very high speeds, and good bandwidth going there. And then we've got lots of other things with the things we're actually doing for providing access points inside buildings. So part of what we're actually doing with people is when they have, for instance, a warehouse and they have lots and lots of steel racks, they get in the way of the propagation of the signal. So even though you could be the only person in the building, you might not get a great signal. So part of what we're looking at is helping people solve that. So we're doing a lot of Wi-Fi design because the internet coming to the building is important, but the internet distribution inside the building is even more important. So that you need to have great internet to be able to support your business.
Neat stuff. And let's talk about a little bit about the scope. So we talked about your services. We talked about your coverage area. I think you've got thousands of customers. Tell us about the size of the company and your customer base.
Yeah, we're currently running about 9,000 residential customers and about 1,000 commercial customers. We provide them service, of course, through a wireless network, but also we resell the products from Bell, Rogers, and Cogeco for cable. We also have our own fiber network in Clayton. So anybody around Clayton Lake, including the Clayton General Store and Banks Printing as an example, those folks get internet from us on fiber, so they can get extremely high speeds. And we also provide a fiber footprint at the VARS Business Park, otherwise known as the 417 Business Park. So we're actually providing all that out there. So we're continuing to build out our fiber in VARS. And then the third-party internet access is supposed to be getting easier for us. So May 7th is a magic date on my calendar. It's the date on which we're supposed to get access, according to the CRTC, to the facilities that Bell has available, so that we'd be able to sell lower cost fibers than the ones we currently sell. We do sell a lot of fibers for business. In fact, we're Bell's leading partner for business fibers in the Ottawa area, but we can also, there'll be a lower cost fiber. They're calling it FTTP, standing for fiber to the premises. And it can either be a business tariff or it can be a res tariff. And those are both coming available on May the 7th. So we're looking forward to doing that. We totally expect that will complement our current process of selling the third-party internet access, so that you get, the nice thing is you get Storm service to go with it. So once it's installed, if you have an issue, you don't wait 2 hours in a queue. Storm is very quick at getting people solved and up and running, and very patient, which has been good.
One of the things we should highlight, we'll take a break here in a second, Birket, but that all of your staff is local as well as your call center staff. So if you were a Storm customer and you had some sort of issue, you're phoning someone that's local, that understands you.
Who actually knows where Kemptville is or Chesterville is.
Okay, I can find it on that map. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Birket, we're going to pause our conversation. We'll be back with all sorts of fascinating information, including talking about some of those big telecom players and how you coexist with them. But before we talk more, I want to pause for a second to recognize the sponsor of this episode. Here is TD. TD's relationship team is committed to your business. They take the time to understand your business and provide banking solutions that can help you achieve your business goals. A dedicated local team allows for deeper customer relationships and better service. They take the time to learn about your business and industry so they can react to changes in the marketplace and anticipate your business's evolving banking needs. Your relationship team can also connect you with other specialists at TD to help move your business forward. And once you're up and running, TD continues to actively manage your relationship, looking for ways to help grow your business. Learn more at tdcommercialbanking.com. All right, we're back talking to Birket Foster from Storm Internet. And Birket, one of the main things when I think of Storm that puzzles me to some degree is the omnipresence of Bell and Rogers and TELUS. So I love the fact, we're all about local business at OBJ, as you know, Birket. I love the fact that Storm Internet exists, but it confuses me how you coexist. Explain this to me and the audience.
Well, the first thing is that the facilities-based distribution, otherwise known as Bell, Rogers, and TELUS, who own 86% of an internet access, actually already have third-party internet access agreements in place today. So they actually already have those, and we are taking advantage of those. We do resell their products, but we put it together with support from Storm, monitoring from Storm, and we do things for our customers over and above the customer support that they see. In the background is a NOC, or Network Operations Center, and we're moving the NOC to 24/7, which is something that small businesses won't get from the larger players. We're making it an option so people can actually pay to get some premium support round the clock. And the internet is so important to people's businesses. They may want their cameras to always work. They may be manufacturing. They might want to have that there. So all those things are definitely part of what people care about. So we are working on all those. So we have basically co-opetition. So we resell their products, and yet we also compete against them. And we compete against them on service. We compete against them on the way that we handle things over and above the basic connection to the building. We also go and help them with cameras, Wi-Fi plans, the actual access points. We may do integration of sensors. We have 150 smart farms, as an example. Those 150 smart farms allow people in the dairy business or in the cattle business to be able to track their cows, figure out where they are, figure out if when they last fed, and all those kinds of things, so that you actually can track them all. And 150 smart farms also include some people with grain elevators, as well as people who have biodigesters. So that's the process of taking the different products of manure and turning them into something that can help run a generator. So that's all very new, cutting edge businesses. We've done the solar farms, we've done the wind farms. So because you're in the countryside and you need to you need internet to be able to manage, control, and monitor. Wow. So those are, among the many things that we're doing. And that's where we compete with Bell and Rogers, because they don't come out to the countryside to do those kinds of things. So, when it needs to be done and it's in the country, that's our specialty. Even though we do sell a lot in the city, it's usually just a Rogers connection or a Bell DSL connection. And for businesses, of course, fibers.
Oh, it's really interesting. And not to delve too much into the geeky part of policy, but am I to understand the CRTC basically requires the Rogers and Bells of the world to make their infrastructure, their services available for resale, and that's part of the opportunity that Storm has?
Yes, absolutely. So we've already been doing the older products. The new product, which they've had a 10-year clear run on, has been fiber. Our fiber pricing will fall into the correct wholesale bracket soon. Up to this point, the fiber pricing we had wasn't competitive, and so unfortunately we really couldn't sell it to you. But but now by May 7th, it should be in place, and we should have a different conversation. The other thing we're doing to help is we're also providing a little bit of education. We're running 24 webinars in 2024. Those 24 webinars are covering topics like we just did one on resilience. So, for instance, if you have a power outage, do you have a UPS? Have you thought about what you need to have plugged into that UPS, including your router, but which lets you have your Wi-Fi? So those are the kinds of things that we remind people. And then if you're a business, we actually take you through a little bit of work on the MTTRO, which is the mean time to recovery of operations, because you think of putting in UPS as insurance policy. So what you're looking to do is you're looking to reduce your risk to the operations of your company by looking at what does it cost us per hour of downtime, because that helps you justify buying the UPSs so that you have a battery failover in case the power goes away. So those are kind of things that we help people think about.
Yeah. And, for so many businesses, as I don't have to tell you, Birket, that if the internet goes down, the business goes down. Like there's nothing to do because of, SaaS software and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. We were chatting with Hydro, and they were telling us that in the Ottawa area, they lose 300 to 400 telephone or hydro poles a year.
Wow.
And some of it's because they have to replace them because it's end of life, but many of them are, there was a car accident. There was a snowplow that clipped one. But, that means that you're going to get a power outage every now and then. And that's kind of important. We actually know where the power outages are pretty quick because we have thousands of customers.
Your map lights up there.
Yep.
We're going to start wrapping up. But before I do that, I want to ask you about what 2024 looks like. So I'm trying to zoom out on your business and thinking that it was formed in 1996 and we went through this world-changing technology internet revolution. I think partially what I'm picking up from you, Birket, is in 2024, you're as optimistic as you were as the founders were in 1996. Like it sounds like there's significant growth opportunities.
Yeah. So Storm has a great team. We have a wonderful set of senior managers. They cover network. So they actually love going out and finding stuff that's new and then bringing it into our lab. We have a lab here. When you come to visit, we'll show you that. We have a lab here, and we test out new equipment in the lab before we decide to deploy it, before we decide to actually make it available to customers. And so we're looking at new technologies that can provide better return on investment. There's a lot of things that have happened in the last 5 years that mean we can be very competitive and offer gigabit speeds in the countryside, which is something that wasn't available except for over fiber, before that. So
this is wonderful stuff, Birket. I mean, again, we're also the pandemic showed us that we're also dependent on internet, and with people working from home, especially in rural areas, and that you are a vital part of their lives, aren't you?
We are, and we have, my CFO lives in the Russell area. My VP of networks lives down in Iroquois area. So and I live in Chesterville. So we're pretty well scattered around the area, and we get a lot of work done because we need to support people. And the team actually comes together, and we actually do a lot of work on what's the plan, what are the goals, how are we going to get there, and we literally meet weekly on that. There's a technology called EOS, Entrepreneurs Operating System, and we're using that in the background.
That's awesome.
We found that it's been very useful to help us set goals and keep doing things. So we're expecting great things and new speeds for people and new solutions to help customers with their internet dilemmas.
I've read the EOS book myself, Traction. So I was just looking at it over the holidays. So listen, Birket, before we wrap up, it's time for our Building a Better Working World segment, brought to you by our friends at EY.
So we are actually helping build a better world in two ways. One is, since 2020, provided the perfect opportunity for us to build out our network so people could work from home and learn from home. We have actually gone ahead and helped build 200 points of presence where we've upgraded them and put them in place. We're also building leaders. So inside our business, it's a lot about teaching leadership to various people using EOS to get that done. And of course, this year we're helping small businesses out by providing them with 24 and 24. So we're doing 24 webinars. So every second week we'll have a webinar, and we're taking topics that were selected to help small businesses out on various aspects. Our next one is coming up is on January 25th, and it's on the topic of fixed wireless access, because a lot of people don't know that they could use fixed wireless access as their failover or backup network. And that could be important, because a backhoe can take out a fiber, but it's very hard for a backhoe to take out a wireless.
All right. I like that, Birket. Better internet is a better working world. Better training for better leadership is a better working world. And do some training. So those are all really good answers when it comes to building that working world. Birket, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been great. It's been I say a blast from the past, but I don't want to date. I want to acknowledge that Storm's been around since 1996, but also appreciate that you've got this big, exciting operating model and that you've got a bright future.
Thank you. I appreciate everything that you've had to say on this, and to actually help us spread the word, because we're probably the best kept secret in the Ottawa Valley. I mean, you're a guy who knows high tech, and you look at our map and you went, wow. Because you had no idea we had more than 250 towers, and people don't know that we have that many clients. And if we just get things together, I'll make sure you get invited to the to one of the baseball games, because we're also sponsoring baseball at the stadium.
Ah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, we're a big fan of local companies, and I love the fact that there still are some local ISP options. Birket, I'm going to say goodbye to you now. Thank you for joining us, and all the best in 2024.
Perhaps we'll see you at a Storm event.
I hope so. Ladies and gentlemen, there's Birket from Storm Internet. Again, what a blast from the past. I love that brand. Been on my radar for lots of times. As we wrap up, let's take a look at some of the other great companies that champion Techopia. Techopia is brought to you by many great sponsors, such as EY, building a better working world; Number Crunch, offering virtual CFO services for SaaS companies; Perley Robertson Hill and McDougall, a leader in business and technology sector law; TD Bank, specialized programs for technology companies; the University of Ottawa Faculty of Engineering, creating the next generation of technical talent. Techopia is not only a podcast. We post new articles daily at obj.ca/Techopia. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe and click the bell icon. All right. Thanks again to Birket Foster for joining us from Storm Internet. We'll keep on following them, especially as that May 2024 date comes up. That sounds like a really important milestone for them and other local ISPs. Before we wrap up, I want to signal that we're doing another Techopia EY Insights magazine that's coming up in April, we anticipate, of 2024. We're busy at work on it. So be sure to stay tuned for more on that. By the way, you can visit the past magazine at Techopia EYinsights.ca. Techopia EYinsights.ca. We hope Techopia is keeping you connected and informed. Let's keep building Ottawa's technology utopia. That is Techopia. See you soon. Bye-bye.